Enterprise Management 360.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Tech Chat. And today's episode, I'm really looking forward to be speaking with Darren Guccione, who's the CEO and co-founder of Cybersecurity. So Darren, welcome to the show and thanks for coming on today.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
I'm looking forward to our discussion, but before we get into today's topic matter, would you mind just giving our viewers at home a little background on yourself?
Sure. My name is Darren Guccione. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Cybersecurity. We make a cybersecurity platform for protecting individuals, families, and businesses from cyber threats and cyber breaches, specifically around password security, dark web threats, and other attack vectors.
Excellent stuff. And Darren's joining us today to share the findings of Cybersecurity's research into the state of UK cybersecurity. So let's get started with this. And I think the best first topic to start with is, can you tell us who the research surveyed, what the main findings were, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so we surveyed, several thousand businesses in the UK, different organizations across virtually every industry imaginable, mainly focused on SMBs, mid-market, and enterprise organizations. And what we found was, somewhat astounding. Number one, just holistically, just outside of the study, what we've realized is that the United Kingdom is the top attack target globally in terms of cyber attacks. And we can talk more about why we believe that's the case. But based on the survey, 60% of the businesses that we had surveyed that responded advised us that they had been the victim of a cyber attack. 37% of those organizations did not have an incident response plan in place. So when they were attacked or they were breached, they had a very difficult time remediating the attack or the breach. In terms of the top two attack vectors, it was number one, credential theft, and number two, malware. And those are, in fact, interrelated. Typically, in a cyber attack, when there's a breach, more than 80% of the time, it's a result of weak password security or authentication protocols. And we can get more into what that means and why, the cyber criminals really focus on that.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting that you said that obviously the UK is one of the biggest targets. Obviously, we're a very densely populated, lots of organizations, lots of businesses, especially when you look at London in general. Why are we being singled out? What's the focus on us?
It's very simple. The United Kingdom at the top of the list has two things that cyber criminals always gravitate towards. Number one, it's a centroid for financial and non-financial information. And number two, they believe that because of this, they have a leg up in terms of the technology that they're using, in terms of their toolkit in reference to what they're able to attack. So they believe that they're more sophisticated and they have greater tools based on what is readily available or what has been adopted in the United Kingdom. So they believe that the United Kingdom is somewhat behind in terms of cybersecurity protection, coupled with the greatest amount of financial activity as well as non-financial information, which we call personal identifiable information. So the United Kingdom, in sum, is a treasure trove of information that cyber criminals can steal and then subsequently monetize on the dark web and propagate financial attacks, breaches, and the theft of digital and financial information.
Mm-hmm. Very, very key. And there's another element which I feel like I need to focus on as well with the coronavirus outbreak that's happened this year. From your perspective, Darren, how do you think the pandemic has impacted or maybe changed the predictions that may have been forecasted back in January 2020?
Well, number one, it's had a catalytic impact. So anything that you thought about doing a year from now in terms of cybersecurity planning or IT planning, now it's at your doorstep. You have to address it immediately. So that's number one. Number two, distributed remote work has created major disruption in a lot of organizations because many of the mid-market and larger enterprises mainly were on-premise. Right now, you're being forced to the cloud, you're being forced to remote distributed work, more endpoints, more computers, smartphone, tablets, and computing devices to protect. The third thing that we saw was that with BYOD, like bring your own device policies and architectures, there was a problem, right? The dilemma that main organizations and companies face is that you have to ask, well, how do I protect and safeguard a device that I don't own? How can I mandate the use of a device when I know that my employees and team members are transacting on corporate information via a personal device? How do I gain control over that and safeguard the information on a device that I don't own? And the beautiful thing, and the answer is that there are technologies in place that can safeguard that information and govern a device that the company may not own. So the individual can still use it personally, but when they're transacting on business, you can set up software in such a way that whatever is transacting through that software platform is protected. And that's important to know and understand.
Yeah, very much so, because a lot of organizations, when they were forced into this 6-7 months ago, it was a very quick, oh, what do we do? Let's just chuck a VPN on or do this, we know the issues that arose from that. So it is important to not only stay on top of the security when people are working from home, but continuously update it as well. This has been the situation for 8 months now, so it's only going to keep going for however long it might need to go for. So that kind of leads me on nicely to my last question here. Could you share some final tips for securing enterprises and what they really should be looking at going forward into the new year?
Yeah, number one, I think you have to embrace identity and access management. Identity and access management is what I call the nucleus of any cybersecurity strategy. It starts with enterprise password management, privileged access management, secrets management, two-factor authentication, making sure that when there's software patches available for firmware and operating systems, that you enable and install those patches immediately. Don't wait. Make sure that you have a plan. And I would say if you're either an SMB, a mid-market enterprise, it really doesn't matter. You'd be shocked in terms of the cost to value benefit between the plans that you can create and the technologies that you can implement without breaking the bank. These are valuable assets that can not only protect your organization, but make your company run smoother and more efficiently.
Yeah, which is always the goal at the end of the day, and something that a lot of organizations need to definitely start to be approaching, because there's threats coming left, right, and center, and they're only going to get quicker and better. So it's best to stay on top of things. So Darren, all I can say is thank you for coming on to this episode, talking us through all of this. If people want more information on the report, where's the best place that they should head over to?
Just go to keepersecurity.com. and you'll find us. Yeah, I mean, we've got a treasure trove of information on the website, and there's a link to find our press at the bottom of the homepage, and our press team and marketing team will be in touch with you. They'll get you what you need.
Excellent. Darren, again, thank you so much for coming on today's episode.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Very welcome. And of course, thank you everyone who took the time to watch this episode. We do hope you took a lot away. There are some fantastic resources on keepersecurity.com, so do make sure you check those out. We'll be back next week. Until then, please join the conversation at EM360 on Twitter and LinkedIn. Subscribe to this YouTube channel, and of course, for more great daily content, head on over to em360tech.com.